Bueno, bueno, bueno. Hola. Hello, hello, hello. How is everyone? Hello. I don't know what page I'm on. What page am I on? Oh my goodness. Facebook is crazy. Oh, am I on my business page? Yay. Oh man. I've been kind of under the weather. I've been fighting this cold that JoJo had for a few days, but yesterday it was really bad. So, am I on my business page? I think I am. Okay, cool. I ran into a snag. So on my business page. Okay, there, good. Yay! I don't know how it's happening, but it's happening, and we're just gonna roll with it, right? My name is Tonya Lee. I'm an intuitive psychic spiritual counselor, physical medium, remote viewer, automatic writer, healer, and mentor. And no, I know I don't sound really good. I don't feel that bad. I do feel a little bad, but not as bad as I did yesterday. But I wanted to jump on. I had, most of y'all know, I had a crazy little live last Wednesday, and it's caused a few hiccups in my page. So, yay, it let me on. No, my grandson had really bad, was really sick, and of course, since he's always on top of me, you know how that goes. One sick kid, you're going to be sick. You're going to be sick too. That's the way it always works, ain't it? So let me go to get a music started. Let's go ahead and everyone share out, please. I greatly appreciate it. Hello, Helen. Hello, Emma. Here's my music. There we go. But I don't feel real bad. I'm just like really. Thank you. All right. Let's get this party started. There is a possibility that the video could just end on its own. I'll just give you that fair warning. But hopefully not. Okay, let me share out where I need to share. So quiet here. Can't handle the quiet. It just drives me crazy. There we go. Hello, Tiff. I can't see my own. Oh, there it is. Okay. Woo. I tell you what, Facebook. You're a trip, my love. Facebook, you are a trip. Alright, I'm just doing some sharing right now myself. Ah, I didn't even... I'm just sharing a few places myself, okay guys? Everyone doing really good today? Hello, Sadie. Yeah, we're just sharing out right now. I can find where I need to. Evening, is it evening over there already? I guess it is getting close to evening time, isn't it? I guess it is getting close to that time. Alright, let me turn this down. Oh wow, I've even got myself as watching. Woo-hoo-hoo! Alright, let's get some cards going. Let's see. Let's do some love. Let's do some love. Some angels. I'm on a different phone. Honey, I'm not doing questions. We're doing cards. Thank you for sharing. I'm just pulling out what cards I'm going to use. Hey, Janie. But you're more than welcome to donate if you want. If you want something specific. Alright. Yeah. Good old angels, they always want me. Hello, Emma. Always can count on that. Yeah. I'm on a different phone, so I got all this rigged up over here. We got the angels close up. Oh, thank you, Karen. I don't feel too beautiful, but thank you. Excuse me. I like to pull up Michael to the north, south, Ariel to the north, Gabrielle to the west, to the east, and Raphael to the west. Our Father art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not in temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thy is the power and the kingdom and glory forever and ever. Amen. As a God, Jesus, the Holy Spirit, archangels, guardian angels, spirit guides, innocent and masters, to please come forth and give us messages of only light and love. As that all messages be for the greatest and highest good. And that if any spirit wants to step forward, that it be for the greatest and highest good. That the spirit leave the same way they came, and they do not leave any physical imprints. I ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. All right. I have been working a little bit on the outline of my program. I'm going to start doing a free 15-minute consultation. So if you guys are interested in my program, you can get a free consultation to make sure that it's a right fit for you. So I've been working on that. So y'all start seeing some advertisement on that. I think that would be a good fit, so that way we can see if it's something that's going to work for you. Hey, Maria. Or if it's something that's not. You know what I mean? No hard feelings. And then also, let me know where you are. Because I've gotten a few people that start, but they're not really wanting to commit. So that's a big thing. So it just tells me to not put you in the program, to put you in the other one. The hourly one. Am I dragging pretty good? Hey, Peggy. I can't promise this connection because of where we're at. On what phone? I have been working on some files, looking at the different consciousness levels, and I'm going to get some information out to you guys. Kind of help you judge where you are. And I'm also going to, a lot of people are wanting to know who their spirit guides are and their spiritual football team. So I'm also going to add that as a service as well. That'll just go under hourly rate. But then that way you can know who your spirit is it my connection? Because we are on this phone and I can't really change it. Because I don't even know if it's going to stay. Yeah. So we shall see. But I'm not sure, is it being... Normally, we have a lot more people on by now. So let me go see if it's sharing. So I'm going to offer that service. So that's going to be several different so weird, but that's okay. I also want to clear out the pendulum. So let's go ahead and clear him out. Get him ready. Ah. Oh my goodness. No, no, no. No, 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 sir. Hey, Emma. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And I have messed around and got a knot in my pendulum. Well, I didn't. Jojo. Probably Jojo. I wonder why. It's not, people aren't coming on. That's kind of weird. Maybe it's taking a minute for it to get out and about. But we need quite a few more people on here to get the vibe up. But we can definitely talk while we're waiting. Hello, Denise. How are you, my love? You gotten your package yet? Probably not. They said it takes a couple of weeks. It's kind of crazy. But we could do some question and answer while we're waiting for the crowd to build up for the cards, if you guys would like. Not, I mean, like spiritual Q&A type of questions, not, you know, does he love me kind of questions. I'm good, honey. Oh, no, wrong Denise. Denise, you got yours. It's the other Denise. I'm sorry. The other Denise, there's another Denise. There we go. And, she's in Canada. Yes, today is 99939. It's a very powerful day today. It's important to take advantage of these kind of days that we get. You know what I mean? Please stop. Now go right to left, please. Hello, hello. I'm so glad you love it, Denise. Hello, Deanna. Do this without. I'm gonna spin this way. Ah. We'll go back to. Oh wow, that's crazy. That's awesome, Karen. All right, so let me get it. It's a lot of vibration here. All right. Please stop. Now go right to left. Bigger, please. All right. Show me your yes. All right. Show me your no. Ha! Very good. All right. We're ready. We're just waiting on the crowd to get here. While we're waiting, let's chit chat. So, there was somebody in the other group. Oh shoot, sorry. There was somebody in the collective source. They posted about pendulums and wanting to know, like, the best way, what the difference between Ouija boards and pendulums were. And that's a really good question, actually. You got to be really careful, guys, whenever we're messing with things like this, because you'll get so many different answers. You know what I mean? You don't get consistency. So you need to pay attention to the groups that you belong to. You really, if you're in this environment, please try to find a tribe. It's very important to find a tribe, because in your tribe, it'll help you not be steered in the wrong direction. You know what I mean? Now, everybody has their own, and the reason why I say that is because everybody has their own beliefs. And since, God didn't make a little manual for everything. Hey, my love. So nice to see you. Since God didn't really make a manual, you have to just kind of pay attention to, your discernment. And the reason why I say that is because if you're going to start learning things, it's one thing to come in here and you want to get an answer for something, right? And then you just leave or whatever. Even that I would be careful with, because it's really important, guys, and I really want you guys to learn how to use your discernment, because discernment is key. It's even key if you, oh, thank you. Even if you're not wanting to do what I'm doing, you don't have to do this to be spiritual. Thank you. I don't feel it, but thank you. So you want to find a tribe, and what I call a tribe is just, people that you jive with. So if you are jumping around from live to live, I would be careful with that, okay? But in the groups that you're in, pay attention to who's active, the ones that comment, the ones that, seem like they are a part of it, and comment back, because there's always, I have a group for learning. We have the collective source where you can get readings and give readings, but there's also mentoring that can happen in there. Yeah, that's right, because you end up getting so many different messages and it becomes confusing, and then you put so much stock into what someone says that you're not paying attention to yourself. And it's really, really, really important to pay attention to yourself, because you're going to know better than I will. In fact, you already know all the answers that you're looking for. You just don't know how to tap into it yet, or you want validation for it. And which is fine. I did too, there was a time I was on that other side doing the exact same on the exact same thing, doing the exact same, wanting answers and asking questions. And I learned the hard way from jumping around, and, and even when I first started, after a year or so of learning, I learned the hard way really quick about people and situations and vibrations, and not paying attention to my intuition, and not paying attention to, my discernment, not even really knowing what discernment was. I really didn't understand that concept until I really got into this realm. Thank you for joining from Australia. Welcome, welcome. And Scotland, of course. Got Scotland in the house. Thank you. Yeah, it's one of my favorites. I always just forget to wear it. So I want you guys to work on finding a tribe, okay? So that way you can be a part and ask questions. That's exactly what the two groups are there for, is to ask questions. It was a really great question. So let's get back to that question, because it's a really awesome question that she asked. She asked what the difference between a Ouija board and a pendulum. Now guys, you need to understand, when it comes to spirit, there's so much stuff that is a portal. Oh, I don't know. Facebook's acting crazy. I'm just blessed I'm on here. I've been trying to, like, every few hours I hit the go live button and it works, so I jumped on. Because I've been having trouble with it working. Anyway, everything's a portal. This candle, I just opened a portal with the candle. Crystals are a portal. Pendulums are a portal. These cards are a portal. Whatever you use to go through spirit, even you become a portal, right? So even when I start, doing my intuition reading, that's gonna, or my channeling, then I become the portal, right? Because spirit's talking through me. So it's really important that you guys learn that you have to be safe with portals. And I'm not saying this to scare anybody, because that's not my thing, and I'm not really scared of things in the spiritual realm, because I trust in my higher power. I trust in my angels, and I know my intent, and my intent is good. Will I have issues? Will I have, will I run into butt heads? Will I do all that kind of stuff? Of course, because it's just life, right? But it's very important to learn how to discern and get in touch with your spiritual team, because you have your own spiritual football team. You guys do. You have it. And get in touch with them and know who's doing what for you. And then it's important to get, more and more in touch with your higher self, because that's the real goal. I mean, your spirit guides and your angels are great, and they will help lead you, but they do just certain things. I mean, they could do other things, but, there's just so much out here that they're not going to be overwhelmed with doing just everything. Like, Raphael is a healer, right? Gabrielle is a messenger, and for pregnancy. You've got, hello, my love. You've got Uriel, that's, nature. So you have different angels, archangels to go to for different things. And then to know, you call upon your archangel to help you with whatever area that you have. If you have an archangel with you, that just means that you got close. There was a time in your life that you were close to death, and you were spared, so you were given an archangel. That's what that means. So if you do like a reading and you have archangels, that's why. But we all have guardian angels. Guardian angels are your big thing, and then your spirit guides, right? So they're there to help guide you, but just in certain areas. That's why it's so important to raise your conscience level and get connected to your higher self, because that's where the real answers are. Okay, your real answers are within yourself and in your conscious. So you've got to raise that level to where you're like 10, 90. Most of the time people are 80, or 80, or no, really 90, 10. And the more and more that you separate from physical environment around you to spiritual, the higher that you raise. And the higher you raise, unless you have to worry about anything negative, attaching to you, because so many people talk about attachments and demons and stuff like that. Just, don't, if you feed into that, then that will become your reality, and what you imagine in your head will be what that demon looks like. So you actually create that demon. It's not that that demon is there. Okay, it's really not. Now, are there demons? Yes, there are. But they don't, it's a totally different ballgame messing with people, okay? There's a slew of people that are, on a very, floating in the waters. I talk about the piranhas, the vibrating, and the ones down here, they go into the pool. They go into the deep depression. So that's where, that's where they're going to thrive, and that's where they're going to stay, because it's easy prey. That's why I tell you guys, when you fall in that pit of depression, that it's important to get out. It's important to pull yourself out. It's important, I don't care a shit what it is, you get up, you go to the bathroom, you go cook something to eat, you go take a walk, whatever you do, but don't stay in that thought, because your thoughts create your reality, and you have to rise above that. All right, so everything's a portal, right? Even Miss Scully here has got a portal, right? So everything you can use for a portal. So the difference between some things is that you can control them, and other things you cannot. Yeah, there you go. That's awesome. Oh, I'm so sorry. Wow, that's crazy, Denise. I'm so glad that you survived that. Oh, my love. Mwah. That's Wednesday, ain't it? The anniversary. The Ouija board, the problem with the Ouija board is that you don't have no way to control it, okay? It's a divination tool that just opens up. You guys gotta, I'll just do this kind of visual for you, okay? Let's picture everything black, okay? And pitch black. And then all of a sudden you see a light come on. Well, you're gonna go to that light, regardless of what's at that light, because you see it, right? I do. I love you, and I'm so glad that you made it through that. And I'm so sorry you had to go through that terror, because it's horrible. I get chills every time I think about it, because I remember watching it, and it's just. Anyway, you got to. You can't really control it, because you're saying, "Hey, anyone, come on in." But now you don't have to pray. I pray before I do anything, because that's what I believe. But you need to have some kind of way of like clearing your stuff, using sage or Palo Santo to clear stuff before you use it. And your intent needs to be positive. So, okay, let's take the pendulum for, well, let me back up. That's why I'm telling you guys, just leave the Ouija board alone. Because technically you're just opening up a portal and you have no control on it. You can't say, okay, I only want to connect to such and such spirit. It's not one of those tools. It's a free-for-all. And that's why they're dangerous. Okay? But let's go to the pendulum. Because the pendulum, it can be dangerous if you don't take control of it, right? But it's a very useful tool, and it doesn't have to be that way, okay? But, you guys, the kind of questions that you ask, right? The pendulum, so you guys understand why, at least I don't. The pendulum is not to be used to ask kind of questions of, well, I win the lotto, those kind of self-indulging kind of questions, okay? You don't want to do that, because you're abusing the connection, okay? And that will lead to negative coming at you, because they know, they're catching on really quick that, hey, she is just all about herself. She's not in this for spirituality. She wants to see what she can get. So she's a good target for me to fuck with her head. I can make her think she's seeing things and do blah, 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 blah. Okay? That's why, there are certain rules. Don't mess with somebody's free will. And you don't really read people that, aren't around. It's different when we're connecting to spirit, and it's different when we're connecting on a relationship level, because you've got connection with that person. So to read somebody that you've had an energetic connection with is pushing it and can be okay, but it's only how far you're going into that reading, okay? But to just read for, let's say you don't like this one person and you want to read her to see what she's doing in her life, that's totally wrong. And although you might get the answers you're looking for, you just put yourself in karmic debt. And that's not really a good place to be, because it's hard to pay off karma. It really is. That's why it's important that you keep your intent positive. Even if you screw up and your intent was positive, you're not going to have to pay that high level of debt. For you guys, think of it like this, a credit card, right? You try to build up your credit, and as long as you're paying that bill on time, or paying above, right, or paying that balance down, you're rewarded, right? Well, let's say you don't pay that credit card bill, and it chalks up, and there's late fees and all this kind of stuff. Now you're getting karmic debt, because one way or another that's going to have to be paid off, right? It's going to eventually be paid off. So that means it's going to be paid off by you and shit in your life in different situations. And even, that's why people talk about family hand down curses. There's no curse. A curse exists if you think it exists. Okay? If you're prey for a curse, yes, it could happen. But you have to be prey, right? You got to be down here. So with the pendulum, you want to have the right intent. You can use it to help guide you, and you can use it to help ask questions, but use it in a positive way, and keep your intent positive. As for the pendulum boards, everybody's a little different, okay? But me personally, I pray over my pendulum board before I open it, and I put the 4 crystals on it, representing each direction, and I pray and ask that only God and the angels and my spirit guides and my higher self connect to this board. Okay? The same thing when I'm praying. You guys hear me when I pray. Who do I pray to? I ask for God, Jesus, the Holy Spirit, archangels, guardian angels, spirit guides, and ascended masters. Right? 7. I ask them to come in, that they're allowed in. And then I ask Michael, what do I ask Michael? I ask Michael, if any spirit come in, that they be for the greatest and highest good. So what does that mean? That means that I don't have to worry about any negative spirit coming in and trying to control my life, or trying to control my reading with you, because I blocked that. And I've put that out there for Michael to do for me. So, and I'm sharing this with you guys because I know some of you out there are really practicing, and I know that you're not getting the right information. And some can say my information is wrong, and that's fine. But I'm telling you from the bottom of my heart that this is the truth that I know, okay? And I wouldn't tell you if I didn't believe that. But it's good for you to, if you want to become, active in this and you want to learn, then do it. But just make sure that you do it the right way, okay? And make sure that you protect yourself. Also, you should close things, okay? So if you're messing with the pendulum board, then close it and say, now I close this pendulum. You thank your spirit. y'all don't see me. And maybe I should start doing it so you guys can see it. But like when I'm done with the live and I say bye, then I sit there and I pray. And I ask, you know, and I thank everybody that came. I ask everybody that came to you know, thank you and blah, blah, blah. And then I close it. Would you guys like to see that? Maybe that way you can get kind of idea, because you want to close it, right? Because we opened a portal. I keep a candle lit over there for my husband. And before I light it, I put the intent out there. Hey, that this is my candle for Diego Ernesto Flores. And he only can come through this portal that I'm going to keep open. And I asked Michael to guard over it. So I keep that candle lit. So does that make sense? Anybody have any questions? Okay, I'll start doing that because I haven't been doing that to where you guys can see. Let me text my daughter real quick. She just tried to call. But the same thing, you know, these sticks that I tell you guys about, right? These selenite sticks. I tap my decks before I use them. So I'll make sure that you guys start seeing some of the stuff that I do to help with that, because I want you guys to experiment. I want you all to learn and grow. You know, the one thing especially about mine and Jessica's group, it's not my group, but I manage it. But the one great thing about Jessica's group is that it's about everybody being on the same level. And so that means that, you know, no testing, everybody can read, but it also gives you a platform to practice on, right? I would definitely tell people that you're practicing. Let me make sure I'm still charged here. Yep, good. I haven't used this phone to go live in so many months. I'm surprised that I'm good. But my group, the Awakening Your Soul, that's what that's there for. So if you want to jump up and say, hey, I'm a practice reader, I mean, you can do it in either group. I mean, you don't have to be, you know, an advanced reader to read in the collective source. Just some people get a little nervous because it is a bigger, you know, set numbers of people. So if that does intimidate you in any way, which is fine because you're learning, then you can go over to the Awakening and do a practice group, a practice post. But if the group size doesn't bother you, then by all means go to that group. But I want you guys to work with yourself first, though. And how do you do that? Okay, I always tell you guys about grounding, protecting, and meditating, right? But the deck. Oh, okay. You don't do the pendulum, but you do cards. The same thing. You want to close. You want to say thank you. Anything that you're using, and let me tell you something. The more gratitude you show for things, whether it's your tools, whether it's your home, your people in your life, no matter what it is, the more gratitude you show, the more you're going to get. It's just the way it works. You know, it works. It's flowing back. That's that karmic coming back to you. Being humble and appreciating and being grateful for things and people in your life is how to get more. People, that's good. That's good, Sarah. Some people, you know, they get things and then they get all excited, and then things start to, like, let's say things start to get really good in their life, right? Then they forget to say the thank yous. And it's really important because that's the only thing that we can give. We can't give spiritual realm anything else. We can't give the angels anything. We can't do anything for them, right? And sacrifices were never supposed to have happened. Okay, that was just, ignorance on people's behalf. Right? So there's nothing we can do for God, the angels, or Buddha, or whatever, whoever you pray to, whoever your highest power is. There's nothing you can do for them other than to be grateful and to live in love. Right? Those are the two things. If you live in love, everything else falls into place, right? It conquers the commandments. It conquers the sins. It conquers, loving thy neighbor. Just living in love, everything else falls. So I want you guys to make sure that you show some gratitude. And I mean a little bit every day. Notice the little things. You'd be surprised at how many, if you start paying attention and you notice, let's say, numbers or little messages or little things like that, you'll start getting more, and your connection will get more and more intense, right? Because they know that what time, your intent, because it shows. It's one thing to say, oh yeah, I'm grateful for everything, but you don't sit down and really say it every day. Or, it's, so many people don't even pray over their food. They don't show thanks for their food. There was a time that you would go in public and you would see people do that. Now, if you do it and you're in public, everybody stares at you like you're the weird one. I don't really care, because I'm going to pray over it before I eat it. But I used to do the same, right? I used to really be strict with my kids about doing that. And then life happens and then you kind of let it slip away. But that's okay, because we're all human. You just grab it back. You always have that lifeline. Remember that. So it's something that can't be cut away by something you do. Now you can choose to cut away from the divine. You have free will, so you can choose whatever you want. But it's not going to, if you don't do that blaspheming, then you're always going to have that cord connection, and all you got to do is tug on that cord and ask for help, and they'll pull you back in, and they'll help you. I don't know, that's kind of weird. I was just thinking of different ways to say something. But I want you guys to really work on discernment. It's really, really, really important, because I want you guys to be self-sufficient. There are some people that disagree with me, and that's mainly because right now y'all are a target. You're cash. You're worth some money. So if I build you up and then you can take care of yourself, then what good am I to you? And unfortunately, there's a lot of people that feel that way, and it's so wrong, because my job is to help you, so that way you're not dependent upon me. Why? So you can go out and do the same thing. The more people we have to go out there and do the same thing, the better this place is going to get. But so many people are money hungry, and they want to nab up and claim better than everybody, and blah blah blah, and which is a shame, because there's just abundance of money out there, and there's abundance of people that need help. So there's not like an endless supply of that. I mean, what is this music playing? Sorry. You know me, I have my own little, there we go. I have my own music, and I'm not used to that. Not that it wasn't bad. I just know that this list is okay, and I can't get in trouble with Facebook. But, oh shoot, I just drew a blank of what I would see. That wasn't my thought. That was Spirit talking with you guys. Okay, I'll have to get back to that. Yes. So, like, when I finally, have done a little bit of learning really deep stuff, I found out I know what my mission is. We all have a mission, and my mission doesn't make me better than you. It just is something different. Or you could have the same mission. Hell, I don't know, but everybody has a mission, and my mission is to help you love yourself unconditionally so you can be the best person you can be. That is my mission statement. That is what I'm about. That's what I'm supposed to be doing. And if I can get someone to love themselves unconditionally, and then they're able to go out and help other people, then I've done a good job. I don't want you to be weak and dependent upon a card to tell you the answer. Because, like these right here, I mean, granted, I read differently. You guys know that I go into the graphics of a card, and I let Spirit point out things to me. So my reading is different. But I don't have to have these to read you. I just do it because if I do it this way, you're able to see and understand, right? So that's what you guys need to get at, and not be so desperate of getting, cards and stuff like that. That's what I'm trying to learn. But confidence sticks. Yes, it does. And, it's okay, because that just means that you're learning, right? And you got to change the way you look at your stumbling blocks, okay? Because if you are stumbling or you've run into a block, then that means you had to walk to get to that block, right? So it's okay. It's just something you have to conquer, and then it'll be out of the way, and then you'll get to walk some more, and then another one will come. I mean, that happens to all of us. Even, I'm not exempt from that. No one's exempt from that. If you run into anybody that says that they're exempt from that, they're full of shit, and you need to watch them. Even the highest of the gurus. Now, they don't have as many, and it's probably very far and few in between, okay? Because they're so much at a conscience level that they don't have those blocks. But you can get to a point where, your conscience level, you can get so high up in your conscience that you can decide whether or not to even stay on Earth, right? But confidence comes from self-worth. And that's why I try to tell you guys to let me work with you on self-esteem, the inner child, because that inner child, that self-confidence comes from there. Okay? It develops some kind of breakdown. Even if it's not like something, let's say you had, I'm going to use this one because people do this one a lot. Okay, let's say you were bullied at school. Okay, you were bullied so bad at school, and but you never really told anybody about it, right? You didn't tell your parents because you were afraid that you'd get bullied more, or they would, people would make fun of you for being a tattletale, or or maybe your parents weren't around. Maybe your parents wouldn't even be giving a shit if you told them. Okay. But the bottom line is you didn't tell anybody. So you just dealt with this. And then you eventually got away from it, right? Because we grow up and we leave school or whatever. Or maybe somebody else beat up the bully. A ton of things could have happened. But the bottom line is that right there, that thought in itself is saying, I am not worthy, right? And I'm going to take this. Instead of, I am worthy and I'm not going to take this kind of treatment. So you take that experience, right? And then now you're getting into relationships. what kind of relationships do you think that you're going to attract? Ones that you're constantly trying to prove yourself to, or and you're constantly telling yourself, I don't deserve this, or jealous because you think he's doing something because you're not all that and they are. It just breaks down. It just breaks down everything. Unfortunately, I let people knock my self-worth down in the past. Not now. I was bullied because of my dry skin. Hated school. Yeah, and I'm sorry, honey. And it does, but there's nothing that's not fixable. That's what you gotta, as long as you keep that in your head. There's nothing not fixable. We can fix anything. It's just a matter of how much commitment and work that you're gonna have to do for it. Because nothing worthwhile is going to come easy. It's going to take some hard work and commitment. I guess. There was another question. How did you find your way to? Oh, grief. A lot of y'all don't know my story. So I'll just kind of give a little quick. Does make you stronger in life. Yeah, you do. Depending on what the incident is, sometimes it does take hitting rock bottom, right? For others, it's not necessary to hit rock bottom. That is an illusion that you make yourself. That right there is saying, I've got to get so low. Only once I'm dragging myself on the ground, only then am I worthy enough to overcome this. That's not necessarily true. At any point in time, you change your mind and change your thoughts. You can prevent yourself from having to go through that extra bullshit. Right? But you have to have it here. And it has to be strong here. It can't be today it's that way and tomorrow I'm depressed and sad. It's got to be this way all the time. And you've got to, I tell you guys, fake it till you make it, right? So even when those bad thoughts come, you feel it, you let it go, and then you go right back to your good thoughts. Your mind can't think of positive and a negative at the same time. So that's why we meditate, so we can control our mind and shut that shit off. So it doesn't hurt us. It doesn't take control of us. I'll do a quick little skimmer about me so you guys can feel a little more connected to me. I was raised in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I was very different from the get-go, and but I never really thought much of it. My parents fought a lot. There was a lot of alcohol, and let's just say when my mother's jaws got broke, I held her mouth. So I held her mouth for her when the ambulance was coming. It got some pretty serious things. My mother and father divorced, and my mom turned the bad way and raised money with her body instead of a job, per my grandmother. And my job was to light cigarettes and make coffee and bring it on a tray to the gentlemen that were there. And this is, we're talking a very young age, 6, 7 years old. And then my mom started working in a strip joint, and I went to a babysitter, which I absolutely loved, and her name was Grandma Neely, and But her son came back from Nam, and something got broken in his room. He flipped out, and guess what kid was the last one to get out? That would be me. And so my arm got broke. I had some broken ribs. It was really a big deal. Had to go to court over it and everything. So I never went back to a babysitter. Instead, I got to go to the strip joint. So every day after school, that's where I would be, is either in the dressing room or behind the bars, shoved down at the bottom. And it was that way until I was about 8 years old. And my mom married this guy, and he became very abusive and put me in the hospital several times. And he used to use me in armed robberies. He would grab me and put a gun to my head and rob a place. It was when he kidnapped someone, and him and a guy, raped and hurt this girl really bad, that something was done about stopping him. Back then, it wasn't against the law to really stop hitting kids or do anything like that, okay? Saw a lot of crazy, wild stuff in that bar. He owned 2 of them. He owned that one and one across the street, which made us have money, but it was at a high cost. And then, so he went to court, and so he ended up going to prison, and so we got away from that, only to get my mom, and my mom got another stepfather, and he was really into drugs, and that's when he started shooting her up with drugs and things like of that nature. And just all kinds of crazy things happened, to the point where I was 10, I couldn't take being there anymore, and I left. I got on my little bicycle and I left. And I stayed homeless for about a year. And then I tried to go back home, and my mom flipped out on me and beat me up really bad. I went back out, and I begged my grandmother. I said, I can't live out here. And so I went to a shelter. And in the shelter, I was 11 at this time. They didn't really have places for kids like me. And, most people don't want to foster an older kid. So I had to go to the juvenile detention center because they didn't have places to put kids like me. And so I was in... I was the youngest one, and I was in with kids that had stolen cars, sold drugs, some that murdered, some that raped. It was a it was a co-ed campus. It was really a horrible place. In fact, when I was 16, they came looking for me because I had filled out a lot of forms. You could always fill out a form when something bad happened to you, and they did a massive investigation on that place, and they closed it down, but they had all these reports and stuff, and they were like, oh, we would like for you to, testify and I was 16. I was like, screw you, now you care? You didn't care back then, but anyway, so I was 12 and a half. I went to a place, I turned 12 in this place, and then they sent me to this other place, and I stayed there for about a year and a half, and then they finally found me a foster home, and I got to go out and be in the foster home. But the foster home was I grew up in a time where racism was still very alive and well, and I'm American Indian, so I've dealt with a few little bit, nothing like African Americans at all, but I know what it feels like to some degree. So I'm not trying to say anything, because I couldn't imagine dealing with what they had to. But I know what it feels like to be called names and rocks thrown at you, and made fun of for the color of your skin and stuff like that. And that's what was happening at this foster home. And the guy, he was a jerk. He had this paddle, had some tacks on it, you do something wrong, you're going to get this paddle. And I'm like, you know, I've already been with juvenile delinquents for the last year and a half, right? So I'm like, fuck you. Oh, and I ran away, and then I went back to my mom, and my mom still was the same. But this time I was 13, and so I had started developing. So my stepfather kind of, you know, what happened there. So that was my first experience sexually. And finally I just said, you know what, I've had it. And I had a really nice social worker. And she took me and got me some clothes and a suitcase. And because I told her, I said, I've got a friend in Oklahoma City. And so I'm going to want to go there. She goes, Tonya, I can do that. And I said, well, then I'm going to run away. So either you help me or I'm going to run away, because I'm not going to stay here and keep getting raped and beat on. And there was no place for her to put me. So she was like, okay. So she took me shopping. I wish I could remember her name. I hope one day I can. But she took me shopping, got me a few change of clothes, and then got me a suitcase. And she took me to the toll and gave me, you know, $20, which 20 bucks was a lot of money. And I hitchhiked. I hitchhiked from there to Oklahoma City. And then I met my friend. I ended up getting with a boyfriend. I got 2 jobs. I got my first car, and I had this little bitty old house. It was a dumpy house, but it was a cute little house. I did that for a few years, and then I came back to Tulsa with my friend Chris, and you know, I would go back and forth, and ended up meeting Crystal's father, which is somebody that I knew since I was 9. And then me and him got into drugs, and I was doing drugs with him, and then we almost got in trouble with the law, and then I found out I was pregnant, and so that totally changed my life, because I got with him when I was 15, and I got pregnant when I was 17, so I was doing a lot of drugs from 15 to 17. Before that, it was just like drinking, and I never really cared for pot, but I didn't want to do the same thing with my kid that my mom did with me, right? So I ended up, I would go back and forth. I would do it and then stop and do it and stop. And finally, you know, I've always had that inner voice. I always felt like there was, you know, something with me, because I would get these voices in my head, and now I know what they were. And you know, when I was a young kid, I saw people, I had those imaginary friends, but they weren't the kind of imaginary friends that y'all think of. I mean, they were like people that would relate to the situation. And so I just picked her up, and she wasn't even, she just turned 2, yeah. She just turned 2, or she was a few months. No, she was 2 months from turning 2, and I left him, which was the hardest thing to do because I loved him so much. But I couldn't stay straight and off drugs and be with him at the same time. It just couldn't happen. But he was the love of my life. But anyway, I went back home, and I just worked. I was able to run bars. From my upbringing, a lot of people knew me from the strip joint from my mom's, and I wasn't going to do anything like that, but I was allowed to, you know, they would, you know, give me a job as bartender. Next thing you know, I'm manager, and then I'm helping them open up. There was one guy I traveled with to help open clubs, and I kept coming to Texas and really loved it. And then I did that for a while, and then I got to where I was working so much, and I really wanted out of that bar environment. Of that particular, I think it had to do with, you know, just being back home, because I had my mom there and my brother, and even though I love them to death and miss them, they were just really not the best to have around me. And so I had a friend that was in Texas, and she said, well, Tonya, come to Texas because you'll find a job real quick. So I wrote a hot check I had to pay for that later, but I had no money in my account. That was back when you could write a check. But I was able to get that flight, that Delta flight to Texas. And I got a job the next day at a place. It was a billiard, so it wasn't like a hardcore bar. And I was a waitress. And within a few months, I became the assistant manager. And before a year, I was a general manager. And I ran that for like 9 years, almost 9 years. Loved it. But, you know, it was too much drinking. And then I ran into Tabitha's father. And he made sure that I'd lose my job. He drugged me. And that's a totally long story because he ran me over with the car. If you saw my leg, I have a good chunk of my leg gone because of the tire burned my skin so bad, and almost got gangrene in it. But thank God I didn't. So me and him never stayed together. It was just horrible. I could never trust him again. And so I just, from leaving that, I got back into the restaurant business and, of course, became a GM. I always come into being a GM. And then I met my husband at the lake. Oh, well, let me back up. So I was still drinking, but not drinking like every day like I was at the bar, but I still would go out and drink. He had visitation, so I would take advantage of when he had visitation, and that was my party time. On the 4th of July, me and my daughters, our tradition was always to go out to the lake, and I would cook a brisket. So I did that, and next thing you know, there was a fight over here, and he was with those people, and next thing he's right next to me asking for a ride home. He didn't want to have nothing to do with those other people. He barely spoke any English, and for some reason we connected. I wasn't going to. I told him, get the hell away from me. And my daughter's like, Mom, be nice, be nice. And I was like, okay, well, don't drink my beer. And you have to go wherever we're going because we're going to go watch fireworks, and I don't want you to mess this up. I don't have time to drive you all over town trying to figure out where you live because I can't even understand you. He didn't even understand what I was saying. But he did sit there, and he was nice. And so we ended up, from that moment on, we were together. I don't know what happened, but from that moment on, we were together. And so that's 14 years. And then we're up to 3 years ago. Well, actually 5 years ago, because my mom died a couple years before my husband. I was going to go see my mom, and because she had cancer, and we were going back and forth with cancer, and she was in Tulsa, so I would drive back and forth. But she had passed away, and I was getting ready to go to her funeral. I had worked a triple shift because I was running IHOP, so IHOP's 24 hours, so that way I could have the time off, because they only give you like 1 day or I think it was 1 or 2 days of bereavement, and I knew that I needed a little bit longer than that because I'm going out of town. So I worked like 3 shifts, and then I just started feeling bad, and I told my husband I gotta lay down. We had just got back from getting them clothes for the funeral and haircuts, and I laid down. Next thing you know, I got sick, and I was like shaking. A piece of my colon broke off, so I ended up in ICU. And I never made it to my mom's funeral. I had to listen to it over the phone. But then while in the hospital, another piece of my colon broke off. And come to find out through, testing and all kinds of things, I had a narrowing in my colon that apparently I'd had my whole life. And it was faulty. And so I had to walk around with some drains and get the infection out. And then I had a big surgery where they cut out a good chunk of my colon. And then like 6 months later, oh my goodness, the district manager, when you buy mats for a restaurant, they need to be cut so they go to the edge so they don't slip, right? Well, you hire people to come in and do that. You buy the mats, or you can buy the mats, and then sometimes they'll come out with the mats and then they'll do it. But you always hire somebody, so that way, if they screw up the measurement, you're covered, right? This guy didn't do it. He wanted to do it himself. He did, and this mat was shifting. It was Thanksgiving, and I stepped, and my ankle went one way, my knee went the other. Needless to say, I tore my ACL, my MCL, my meniscus, and had to have my ACL replaced. And then, so I'm doing the physical therapy on that. But this is only like 6 months after that big surgery, so it created 8 hernias. So I had to have another surgery because of those hernias, because my intestines and everything like that were not ready for me to do that kind of exercises, because I'm doing crunches, I'm doing, stomach pumps and all kinds of things. And even though I told them and they said it would be fine, and then come to find out there's still a piece of my meniscus in the joint. And I'm like, hey, quit fucking touching me. No more surgeries, no more knives. I'm done. Whatever's in my knee can fucking stay there. Don't touch me anymore. And so I couldn't go back to work at the restaurants, but I started working from home, and I got got to doing okay. And then my husband got sick, and mind you, in between there, I don't know if any of y'all have seen DJ's picture, but when he was younger, he had a big old, it was a mole from birth, but it was cancer. It turned cancerous. It started acting kind of weird in the hair and stuff like that. So it was turning cancerous, but it hadn't gone inward. So we could do surgeries, and I had to, apply a bunch of times for Medicaid to help me with that, but because they said it was cosmetic, and they would not cover it until the cancer went inward. So it was a big old mess. But anyway, DJ's had 3 surgeries, and if y'all look, he still has a knot right there, because there's still one other surgery to do that will probably be done before the end of the year or the beginning of the year. But anyway, they did blood work, and come to find out, DJ has lupus. Well, lupus is something that's passed on from a parent. So me and Diego had to get our blood work done, and come to find out, he had the lupus. Well, he started having all kinds of skin issues, like psoriasis, his whole back and back of his butt, his legs. I felt so sad for him, because it was like fish scales, and then he was getting MRSA, and it just one thing after another, and then on Father's Day, he was at his mother's, and he wanted to hang out at his mother's, and I asked him, I said, are you sure you don't want me to take you to the hospital, because you're not looking good? And we had already done a few trips to the hospital, and he was like, no, I'm okay. And then I come home, go to work, and next thing I know, I get a call, and he's in ICU. 6 varices burst. And so he was in ICU, and the very next day was DJ's birthday. It was horrible for him. But from that, he had to have surgeries every 4 weeks to reband. And within 4 months, I had to sign him into hospice. And he lasted, I want to say, less than 2 weeks in hospice. I'd have to look at the date. And that right there was a big old episode, and it was horrible, because his family didn't agree, and blah, blah, blah. And, but anyway, so he passed away in the house. I mean, me and DJ were right there when I was blessed, because I was able to hold his hand and look in his eyes as he took his last breath. But I was also cursed with that. I was also blessed that I was able to do so much for him. I did everything for him. And then 5 months later, they found my brother in his apartment dead, and he had been dead probably about a week. They said they couldn't really say. I personally, I mean, I got a gut feel on the 21st. They called it on the 25th or 26th, I can't remember. But that's the day that my grandmother died. And that particular day, I remember just feeling really off. But me and my brother had gotten into arguments. That's why I always tell you guys, tell people that you love them. Because he actually was 2 weeks prior to him dying. He wanted to come and come back down and stay with me. And I'd done this whole thing with my brother, you know, letting him come live with you. And my brother was an alcoholic, so I mean, he was drunk before 10 a.m. and it was just something I couldn't really handle. And I really couldn't handle it after just losing my husband, because my husband was no angel either when it came to alcohol. So I just couldn't handle it. And he was like, well then fuck you, bitch, and he hung up the phone. And that was the last thing my brother said to me. And I never even called him back because I refused to, when I cut off, I just like, no, I'm not gonna feed into that. And so then I went up, and I didn't have to do it, but I just felt compelled to do it. I just felt that I needed to tell my brother that he wasn't alone. And so I went in, and he had been dead 2 weeks. And of course they didn't embalm him, right, because he was found dead. So I got to identify him with his tattoos. He had tattoos, all kinds of crazy tattoos, and I knew what they were. And I will say, a body that's been dead a couple weeks is the most ugliest thing you'll ever see. And then we get through that, and then we get back home to here in Texas, and just weird things started happening. I mean, I kept finding like big, huge piles of feathers. I'm not saying like a few feathers. I mean, I really thought the cat killed a bird. And so I was sweeping it up, but there was no bones or nothing. So I found that where you step out of the car, it was right there. Then we found it at the back door, same big pile. And then a few days later, found it, out on the front porch where I had my coffee. Under each chair, there's a pile. And I was like, what is up with all these feathers? And then, you know how you have those covers for the microwave? It's funny now, but I used to really get onto my husband because sometimes he wouldn't use that, and then it'd splurt all over the top, right? Or he would forget to put it back in there. And so anyway, it was on top of the microwave, and I was like, shit. And it made me think of Diego, right? I was like, damn it, Diego. And I opened up the microwave to put it in there, and there's a feather. And I'll take a picture of some of the coins and feathers because I kept that one. And then I found one in my keyboard, and then I started finding change in the bed. And then I had a hot water tank that it only boiled or made these strange noises when people would take a shower, and it started doing it on its own. And then DJ said, Mom, I can hear Dad. I can hear him say my name. I was like, shit, I've got to check this out. I have no idea, what is going on here. And so I came to this realm, and all the groups that I'm involved in, I begged people to help me and help me. And I only ran into like a few people, I can count them on my hand, that were nice and caring. And Jessica Tate is one of them, that really showed love and compassion. And then I did meet Jeremy, and he did connect to my husband, was able to give me messages. And he mentored me for a little while, until I found out, his problems and issues. But I got to where everything about this I studied. You know what I mean? And I went and got my hands on everything that I could study. And then I started connecting the dots to different things that happened in my past and in my childhood. Because trust me, I just gave you all a quick glimpse. I could tell you story after story of, being beat up and, I didn't always have the best choice in men, right? You know what I mean? Especially when I was younger. So, the point is that we're always we always have somebody looking out for us. And now there are certain times in my life that I know that I should have died. And that's why I do have a lot of archangels around me. But because I almost did. I don't remember any of those coming back to life experiences. I do remember some funny things from the surgeries that I had. But I studied and I learned what discernment was. And so that way I could pick something up and it would feel right. I would know that this is something that's valid for me to learn. And so this is why I tell you guys. And so I studied for about a little over a year. And then I practiced. I got out there and I practiced. And it just, things opened. And one thing opened after another after another. And I know there's some things that I'm doing that other people that have been practicing for years can't do. But it's not about me being better. It's just something I've tapped into. And so I can do, a lot of things that a lot of people can't do. But there are people that do things that I can't do. So it's all but I will tell you this though. Never once, and I will be honest about this, even in my childhood, because I wasn't raised to learn about God. Nobody told me about God. I had to learn about God from, a little church down the way by the creek. Anyway, I always felt, okay. I mean, even in some of the darkest, crazy parts, I felt comfort. So, that's why I tell you, you got to really tap into yourself. You got to get connected to yourself. I remember thinking when I was a little kid that life is a movie, and we're just actors. And now I hear that when people talk about spirituality, it blows my mind. Because I remember thinking that. So I definitely I don't know everything. There's so much that I'm still learning. I am blessed by all the gifts that I've been given so quickly. I've been told I lost my job, guys. I got laid off, and I got another job, and I got laid off. And I got another job, and I got laid off. This has all happened within this year. And I was like, shit, what is going on? And then I put crystals and stuff underneath my pillows, and I'm starting to have these vivid dreams. And I had a dream, and I've done some life regression, and within myself. I was led by one person, and so I kind of took, because what I do is I take a little bit of everything I learned that feels right to me, and I put it in my own way. That's why that's why the name is unique, Tonya Lee. It's not because I'm conceited. It's because everything that I'm going to do is going to be unique, because no one else is doing it that way. It's bits and pieces of what everybody else is doing, and then I just add my own to it. Because everybody has something great to offer. So it's good to, if you learn something over here, take what feels good and leave the rest. And if you pay attention and you go into people with that love, then you're going to see the good. Now, granted, the bad's gonna, you got to pay attention to the flags. Sometimes I didn't pay attention to the flags, and that came back to bite me in the ass really bad. And, you just live and you learn. But take those little things, take those moments, because that discernment is what's key for you to get to where you need to go. Because getting in touch with my higher self and being able to connect like that is what told me, Tonya, this is your mission. Your mission is to teach people to love themselves unconditionally so they can have the best life that they can have. And, some people say, oh, you're so full of shit. Who does she think she is? But I'm telling you, that's the mission that they told me. And I'm going to stick with it. You know, I had a situation with some archangels, and I can't go into it, but when I asked them what I needed to release, I was told all doubt. My biggest block is self-worth, right? That I deserve it, that I'm good enough. And as you can see, that is what, I mean, look at my child, look at my life, you would, you could see why. But that program, I've worked on myself with it. You know what I'm saying? So I totally know, how important it is that you got to go back there and clear up those things, because they will come back and bite you. There's nothing back there that can affect your life right now unless you want it to. I'll tell you that. I mean, I just told you my story, and that's not detailed. I gave you a glimpse of my story. Now, most people that would might not even be here. They may already be dead, overdose, or, something, being in the place at the wrong time or whatever. None of that shit follows me here. And I'm blessed, and I'm grateful for that. That's why I tell you guys, I'm not perfect. And that's why I say, you don't want me to go to my ghetto side, because, I lived on the streets. I know how to turn it, right? Because I had to protect myself. I was a little kid. But you don't have to be a product of whatever it is that you come from. That's not your, it's just a situation. It doesn't affect now, or anything that's happened between the childhood to now. You're not a product of that. If you don't like any of that shit, or you don't like finding the wrong man, or you don't like this or that, then you set the manifestation and you change it, because you can change whatever you want. And I am living proof of that. I mean, I know you guys did not even think that I came from all that. You know what I mean? And you shouldn't, because my life back then, the bad that's happened to me, should not reflect out. It should not be, you shouldn't be able to say, you know what, I know she's gone through that, or that. You know now because I've shared it, but my actions didn't show it. Why? Because I let that shit go. That shit doesn't have anything on me anymore. It's every once in a while I slip up and I feel insecure. And a lot of that has to do with, my husband's death. But, that's why I try to tell you guys, it's very, very important for you guys to, love yourself unconditionally. That's key. And it's hard as hell to do because of the way you're taught. Let me tell you, because I come from not even being taught love. I had no idea what the hell love was. I didn't even know who God was. So that doesn't make me better. So I'm not trying to say that. I'm just trying to say that it doesn't matter what that shit is back there. That you can come above it. And you can have whatever life that you want. And my goal is to help you do that. I am going to start doing free consultations. So that way I can sit there with you guys and see, if you want to do my program or the hourly or whatever you pick, we're going to make sure that it's a good fit for you. Let's see, what is it that you're trying to fix? So that way we can get in there and see if it's something that, that we can do together. Maybe it's not. I'm not going to sit here and string you along. And I'm not going to waste my time just to make money off of you. Because there might be someone behind you. I can only do so many. So there might be somebody behind you that's really going to benefit from it. So I'm not the type to say, oh, okay, here, come here. You'll benefit, blah, blah, blah. And when you won't, and it's not going to work for you, because I can just tell, I am a psychic, but you're going to pay, and you're good for the money. I'm not going to say, oh, yeah, come on. Because then bad karma would come to me, right? Because I know that there's someone else that needs to be your mentor, because with the programming, with my programs, it's going to lead into mentorship. Because there might be somebody else behind you that really, really needs that. So that's why I decided to just do free consultations. So it's just 15 minutes free consultations, and we'll see, see if it's a good fit for you. No, I don't do past life regressions yet. I am working on learning that, but I don't do them as of yet. But I do a form of past life regression in my program. I do this life regression, detailed. I don't go into past ones, so yeah, it is. It's really, really hard. But the damage is done. That's the key. Think about that. The damage is done. That's actually a good thing, because now it can't hurt you anymore. It's done. It's over. It's gone. Shebang. Aww. Yeah. It's not, I never said it was easy, guys. Never, never, never. It's one of the hardest things that you'll ever do in your life, is fall in love with yourself. And you realize that you create your own life, and you're also creating the shit in your life. So it's a hard reality. But once you do it, man, the rewards for it is undescribable. And then you can actually, have a purpose. And we all have something to give. Even, I'm telling you, you don't have to do this. The way you live your life and the way you treat the people around you, your friends and your family, that impacts the world. How you treat somebody at the grocery store affects the world, What if that girl is having a really bad day, and she's fighting addiction, and she's just barely keeping her head above water, and you sit there and went off on her because she got the price wrong, and she just goes home. She says, you know what, fuck it, I'm done, and she kills herself. It's not your fault, but we can push people in a negative way. Or what if we show her compassion, and it helps her get through another day? I'm telling you guys, the way you treat people is you. So, all right. Well, I've so much for reading cards. I can't believe I don't even know how long I've been on here. I can't believe I told you all of it. Now of course, there's a lot of crazy stories in between there. Now people can understand why I say I want to write a book. But that's why I really want you guys to understand that I'm really here for you guys. It's not, I wasn't going to do this for a living. The angels have forced me to do it for a living. They say this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And it was a hard struggle. Anybody that really knows me knows it's been a hard struggle to do this and get paid for it. It's been a really hard struggle, but it is what it is. This is my calling now, so I got to run with it. All right, so I'm gonna get off here. DJ is doing, he's in honor band, and he is mentoring a 7th grader. So they're doing this new program where they mentor. So I'm going to go pick him up. I will go back and I'll look at y'all's comments, okay? Please know that, you can reach out to me. I'm going to go add to the website, in the Facebook page, free consultation. And it'll just be about 15 minutes. And I'll tell you, what to have ready before that consultation, so that way we can stay on task, because I can only give you 15 minutes of it. You know what I mean? Otherwise, my time will get all out of whack. I don't know if I'll be able to come back on live, because someone reported my live, say that one I did on Wednesday, on the 4th. I don't know if you guys saw that one, but I had a few haters on there. I was really nice to them, but they reported me and said I was doing hate speech and bullying. Facebook took it down. And then I appealed it, and then they watched the video and they put it back up. But they have me blocked from going live. But I was able to go live now, so we shall see, okay? Anyway, thank you guys for letting me tell you my story. Let me close out. And that all I do when I close out is I just pray. And I say, dear God, the Holy Spirit and Jesus, archangels, guardian angels, spirit guides, innocent and masters, anyone that came forth and helped me today with this live and with this group, I thank you very much for your time and your energy and your love. Please make sure that everyone on the live or anyone that watches the live in the future is safe and protected from my realm, and that that I too and my home is safe and protected, and that any spirits that did come in, even if they did not speak up, leave the same way they come in. Michael, I ask that you make sure that my home is free of all wandering spirits. I ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. I do it kind of different every time. Oh, I have no idea what y'all said because I wanted to stay on my thought process. But I will go back and look at y'all's comments, okay? Love you guys, and I might see you later, okay? We'll do the game. Y'all want to play the game? I still need a name for that game. You guys need to help me name the game. I need a name. Love you. Hasta luego. Dios quieres. Namaste. I'll see you later, God willing. Bye.